Alex Stone from Boating New Zealand, and I'm here with John McGettigan. We're on board a boat, an extraordinary boat called Earthling, the E-40, and we've just been out for a little jaunt on the Auckland's harbour. Unusually for me, I'm kind of lost for words. This boat is beyond superlatives because it's more than just a boat. What John was just telling us, he's selling he's presenting a whole system here. It's the Earthling Ethos system. Tell us about it, John.
We have twin 50 kilowatt continuous electric drives, and they're the basis for the boat moving through the water. We have 45 kilowatt hours of stored energy in lithium banks, and that is the range. That is the calculated range is easy. Yeah. Power used by, typically we do 10 kilowatts at 8 knots, so you got 45 nautical miles or whatever. You start pushing it up, and you're using, if you used the 100 kilowatts, which is available, we wouldn't go far. You go fast, but not far. We also have the backup generators, which are 8.5 kilowatts each. They're tiny little quiet diesels at this point, and they are DC direct and highly efficient. So running at only 2 litres an hour, they're giving you enough energy to drive the boat if your lithium is depleted. So that's a key feature of this boat. You'll never be stuck without a charge in this.
So in practical terms, an electric cruising boat has to be a hybrid boat with the technology we've got.
Yeah, unless it's point to point in somewhere like Monaco and you're going from one pub to another where they let you plug in. Then you can do it. But not here in New Zealand. Try and find a plug out there in the Tiri Channel. So until better storage is available, you've got to be energy conservative all the time. Yeah. Even if one breaks down, which diesels do, we've got another one. Yeah. And it's never going to be, you're never going to be stuck. Yeah. They automatically start at 20%. You can't hear them, as you noted. So they're not annoying. Yeah. They are necessary at this point in time. And people that say you can go around the world with a solar panel, as we mentioned earlier, that's not the case. It's definitely not the case. But the solar is amazing when you're sitting. And all our systems are 230, so we use a lot of power during the evening cooking, and we have hot water, we have all the home comforts. And the 2 kilowatt an hour solar roof definitely covers all of that.
So the maxim would be that if you've got time on your hands, you can rely on the solar. If you don't have time on your hands, you have to have
passage making is always going to require backup. Yeah. But island hopping, bay hopping, you're only motoring for an hour and then you're sitting for another 4 hours. We're finding that it's fine just to rely on the solar and go slow.
Talking about bay hopping, you were saying that the boat's got a lot of power to get you off a lee shore. Tell me about was it New Year's Day?
Yeah, we're at Oneiroa, and the usual horror story, 5 o'clock in the morning, complete 180, and we're caught in a lee shore. And getting the anchor up, the whole panic was just my partner and I, first time out. But the boat was fantastic. It just powered straight out into the incoming swell and wind. It's probably 30 knots. 2 boats were on the rocks that night and a couple of T-bonings. Yeah. So we blasted out of there, and I was so happy with it. I used more power than we would have normally, but it's there to be used.
Well, that excess power is your safety factor.
Yeah. Even if only one engine had been running, we would have easily coped with that situation. Efficiency is the key to everything with e-propulsion, and this hull form is by far the best form I could come up with.
That really struck me while we were on the boat. We were doing 8 to 10 knots, and in my domestic analogies, I was sitting on the saloon bunk saying, this is just like sitting on the couch at home. There's no fuss about the speed. The boat just slices through the water.
Yeah, well, it is a very stable design, and the hull form was optimised for electric. Yeah. So we tucked it in at the bows. It's like a knife until about midships. Yeah. And then it's super flat out the back with no rocker. So basically it's sitting on the surface. And with the big slow-moving props, there's no wash, there's no rooster tail, there's none of that drama that comes with it.
Those stats about the props are amazing. Tell us about the size and the speed.
Came as a bit of a guesstimate that worked. and it's worked straight off the block. They're nearly 600 millimeters, which turn really slowly. They're turning at only 400 RPM, so you get no cavitation whatsoever. So if you ask any expert about props, they all need cavitation. And some of them are high cavitation, some are low cavitation. This is truly zero cavitation.
A really intelligent balance between the power you need and the displacement and so on. You were saying that if you added more batteries for more range, you'd have more weight, and you'd get into a self-defeating cycle. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's well documented by some of the others that have been in this field for a long time, including myself. I started doing that 8 years ago. So range has always been the problem, and lithium hasn't changed. Everyone says it's getting better and better. It's not. It's the same old stuff. It's not good enough. So you have to accept that range is always going to be an issue until the next generation, or hydrogen fuel cells. So when hydrogen fuel cells are available, I'll replace the lithium with those, and everything else stays the same. So the engineering that's gone into this boat is future-proof from that perspective.
Okay.
Well, the concept is operation by exception. It's something I brought through from industrial automation. So why worry about everything? You just leave it on this screen. There's not millions of dials and things winking and blinking at you. If something happens, it comes on this screen, it gives you an alarm in this window, and you go to whatever area the alarm's coming from, and you'll see something highlighted here.
Yeah, it'll suddenly be telling you what the problem is. Yeah.
You can also go back in and look at historical alarms, so all the alarms will always be stored. All of your historical trending of your trips and the power usage and the mileage, all of that data is stored in this computer.
So is this all custom for the boat? Did
Yeah,
you develop all this?
It's for the system.
Yeah.
It can be tailored to any boat with the system. So this could be a 60-foot mono, for example, and then the pictures would look different, but a lot of this data would be the same. And you got navigation, obviously.
Yeah.
And of course we do all of it's all internet based.
So that's the one
There's I'm moving the cursor. See the cursor in the middle? Here's the whisper power technology.
Yeah.
So this is looking at, watch me start a generator here. Wow. If I decide at the last moment that I want to go in an hour and I forgot to plug in, I'd just run them for that hour before I get there.
Earthling is notable for its single-level flow-through layout. A doorway just by the helm station leads to a forward cockpit. In good weather conditions, as on our photo outing in the upper Waitemata harbour by the Chelsea sugar factory, this door stays open, providing a fine through-flow of fresh air. The starboard hull of Earthling has a queen-size double berth and ensuite loo and shower. Port hull has a wide fork-peak berth. To make up overnight accommodation options, a settee in the saloon extends to form another queen-sized double berth. The overall impression of Earthling is of cleanness, of the lines, of the layout, of the whole strikingly distinctive boat. But most of all, a cleanness of thinking. John has melded the best of current technologies in Earthling. He has created an eminently practical fusion of pure electric and hybrid boat. One that is the future now.
John Ecclestone from Boating New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more of these videos, please subscribe to our channel.